And I'm back. Sorry guys, had a bit of a unexpected thing going on. Anyways, I also realized I made a mistake. This should not be app.get, but I'm really used to typing it because normally I call this app. So actually this should be server.get. And I should put semicolons here for correctness. Alright, with that said, so let me show you what this does. So when I type localhost 8000/hey, nothing happens. And that's exactly what I planned. Because the server isn't running. But if I run the server with node app.js, then it's running. Then what you will see is that this console log will happen here, and the response.send, well, that's the arrow that I was talking about. So remember, well, I guess you remember it better than me because you're seeing this 10 minutes from now while I'm 2 hours away. But remember that when you have a client, it sends a request for either getting information or updating something on the server. And then the server sends a response. So this is basically response.send, whatever, put stuff in there with some JSON data. Right? And this, in this case, is localhost 8000/hey. Now you know this looks ugly, right? I mean, but you can transform this if you know how to put your website on the internet and your server on the internet too. Actually, this is http://localhost. Then it would, for example, be http://www.example.com/hey. Now here's the question. Why is it 8000? Why is it not 333? The reason is literally because we said 8000 here. If we put in 3333 here, it's 333. Now this can go up, I think, until 6536, something like that. That's the amount of ports that your computer has. In real life, it always happens on port 80. So if you type in this would also work. Let me demonstrate. So when I go to google.com, type in google.com, obviously I get there. But when I type in google.com:80, I also get there. Now, to show you that it really is running on that Google really is running on port 80, what if I type :81? As you can see, Google hangs and it doesn't work. So with that, I mean to say that if there's a server listening to these type of things, it is always :80. So yeah, so we type this as a GET request, right? So this is a GET request. One thing you should know, that when you type in a link like this, it's always a GET request actually. So this is a GET request, as they call it, and it gives you back, when you do this with Ajax, when you do this on the web browser, it gives you a whole page. But when you do this via JavaScript Ajax, it gives you only the JSON data. So, wrong Sublime. So, let me show you. So I'm going to run the server now. Now the server is running. So note, I'm doing this on my own computer, but the server would normally be running on a computer somewhere else. Now I'm starting up the client, which is Google Chrome, and when I now press enter, you see world here, which was the response, and you see hello here. So if this computer would be in, I don't know, Australia, then this would be locked on the computer in Australia, but this is what we in the Netherlands would see. So the hello would be in Australia, and the world would be on your computer. And in that sense, the internet really does make the world go round. So that basically also means that console logging means you are console logging information about your server, and this is basically what you send to the browser. And you can make it as complicated as you want to, like in most cases code in between would be stuff that you take from the database, and you take the right data and then you send the data, all that stuff. For now we're going to keep it simple. So we're going to make an API about the information of do I still have it? Yes, of this website. We're going to make an API for this website. So let's do it. So the first thing that we need to know is what information do we want. So we have boats, we have a title, we have an image, we have text, we have a price. So we're going to make that for every boat. There are multiple ways of doing this. What's the best way? The best way to do this is, I think, to introduce a new JavaScript syntax. Again, all really stuff you don't need to know for front end because it's all ES6. But it would be, well, at least nice to see. What we're gonna make is a class. So we're gonna make a class boat. To look at the syntax, class JS6. Right. So I'm gonna make a class boat, and note I'm making a capital here because classes are always in capitals. It's just a program convention. We have a thing called a constructor, which initializes the class. So say, for example, a class would be seen as a cookie cutter, and then an instance of a class would be the cookie that you cut. Now, a cookie that you cut has a couple of properties to it, right? It has, for example, a diameter, it has a color. Those things are made with a constructor. So with the boat, when we construct it, we need a title, and we need an image, reference, link, path, name. We need text, and we need the price. And well, here you see this as well. This is basically what it looks like. So you can say A is title, for example, but in the class you want to keep these type of things. So this parameter, you want to hook it up to something that sounds similar. Well, you can actually use the same name if you type in this.title, because this is a special object of the class. It basically means this instance of this class. So whatever cookie that is cut by the cookie cutter you're looking at will have this object. And you can attach the name title to it. And that's then not the same thing, because this is a parameter called title, and this is a title from the this of the this object. So that's that. Again, this is all stuff you don't really need to know because it's just pure backend, but it would be nice to just have some example of how it looks like. And also, to be fair, I'm making this because NYCDA its own API doesn't work, so I actually need to make this. So now we get a boat constructor. Yeah, I would say let's keep it at that. Let's construct some boats. So how do we do that? Well, there are a couple of ways. But what I want to do is I want to put them in an array called boats. So that would be here. Const boats is an array of 8 boats. So I guess you can just type it in there. So when you want to construct a new boat, you type in new boat and you're calling the class itself. And that looks like this. And it looks like that because if you would do this, then it's going to assume that the class is a function and things will go wrong. So you do it like this. So then we put in a title, we put in image path name, put in text, and we can put in a price. And we're going to do this 8 times. But you know what? Let's start with 1 for now. So to see that the code works, because you know, if it works, then making it 8 times is easy. So let's look at our first boat. We have I have no knowledge about boats, I'm realizing. Cool, I'm just gonna call this fancy boat. Text, fancy boat near the borders of, am I spelling this correctly? Yeah, near the borders of Nicaragua. There are no sharks here, which is nice because that means you can swim here safely. Watch out for piranhas though. And let's make him a formal person with a smiley face. Yes, this is a very serious assignment. Oh wait, I'm now writing the text where the image path name should have been. Oops. So let's do that better. Let's put it in here. And the image path name is basically, we're going to put this in a folder called images. We're going to put it as boat, and then it would be 1.jpg. Okay. And then the price, it's a fancy boat. Fancy boat is 12,000 euros. And let's make this a number. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type boats / all. And basically my boats is basically my database. So maybe we should write database. Now I'm going to write boats or boat database. Note, this is just an array. It's not an actual database. In real life, this would be hundreds of lines of code instead of, well, the couple of lines that I'm going to take. Anyways, it's good enough. So basically, when a client requests this path name of basically the final part of the URL, it will get the whole boat database. But maybe the client wants to just get one boat, right? So boats, and then maybe like 1. So like you can also make it work if they type YOLO and you just give a boat back, but this makes sense, like I want boat and I want boat number 1. Well, how would we give boat number 1? Well, this should be const as well. We know that a boat is in the boat database, right? And this should not be 1. This should then be boat number. I think you should write it like this. So this is something that I learned from NodeJS, that when you type it like this, it basically means that the user can type anything they want, and then you can get that from a variable called request dot, I think it was query dot boat number. I'm putting it in boat number here, and then when I press this, basically I'm now getting the first maybe I should do -1, because I'm gonna start from 1 here. Yeah. So boat number -1. So example 1 becomes 0. So that's for the array, right? So if you get number 0 here, then you get the first boat, which is then what you're gonna send. But there are a couple of issues here now, because basically what the person who's gonna search for this will type is something like boat / YOLO. You can't type that, so you first need to make sure it's a number, which you can do with with an if statement, and there's a JavaScript function called isNaN, which means it's not a number, and if you put the variable in there, boat number, well then you know it's true. And if it's true, you just return, and we're gonna send a response of please fill in a number between fill in a number that is higher than 0. Oh wait, sorry, I'm gonna make this a template string again, higher than 0, and 1 is higher than 0 and up to boat database dot length. And then we're going to say if it's not a number, or if it is if boat number is smaller than 1, or if boat number is bigger than boat number dot length. Then if all these conditions, one of these conditions happen to be true, we're going to send this response, and otherwise we send this response. Okay, so let's test this and leave it at that. And if this works, we're gonna build this whole website from the ground up again, but then with no content, and we will get all the content through an AJAX request. Okay, let's see if this works. When I type localhost boat /1, then I should say smaller than 0. And then restart the server because it's new code. Really? Oh, I'm making another. I should make this an integer, so I need to, because I know from experience that this is a string. So this 1 is seen as a string. Wait. What is going wrong? Console.log. Boat number. Oh, it says NAN. Oh, I know why. It's not .query, it's param. My bad. It's just something you know from backend programming, or well, no, half an hour later, but still not. Okay. Then issue type request dot param. Or is it params? You know what? I'm gonna print the whole request and just see what it was again. So this is the whole request. Yes, I know it's a lot. Let's just copy paste this into Sublime and search it. This is basically all that you get from the library called Express. They give you all of this, well, for free, basically. So param. Oh, it's params. And see, it's a string. The one. So request.params, and then that's how this works. Yeah. So now, what you see, what I get back is JSON. So I know this doesn't look sexy, but the thing is, if you do the same thing with Ajax, you can, get out the data and basically put the data in there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do 3 boats in total. Otherwise, I think it's gonna be a bit too much. And I'm gonna hard code the other 5. I think I'm gonna do 8, 7, and 5. 8, 7, and 6, I mean, and I'm gonna keep the rest hard coded so that you can see the difference. Yeah, so that's all boats now. Well, now that we know that this works, right? We're gonna extend our amazing API, because yes, this is already an API. It has 2 functions. It can give you all boats or a specific boat. And if I type 2, for example, well, it says that. So okay. That's higher than 1. Oh, not boat number dot length, sorry, boat database dot length. Reset the server. Still not doing that. It's not doing the error checking correctly. Boat database dot length. Is 1. So boat number is bigger than boat database dot length. Oh, but it isn't. Yeah, I'm making 1 by off errors. So I want to do -1 here then, but the issue with doing -1 is that this will look at this first and then do the -1. The way to go around that is to put these parentheses here, and then this will happen first. So now, and now this works as well, and now this works as well. So as you can see, basically what making an API does is make sure that you make a function that if a person types in the right URL, this code executes. because when I type this, right, only this part of the server executes, and when I type this, which is now coincidentally the same, then this part of the code executes. Okay, so let's make a couple more. I'm wondering now, is this still a fancy boat? No, this is not fancy at all. Oh well. Okay, this is a humble Italian boat. So let's create new boat. Humble Italian boat. The path name is images/boats/8/7.jpg. A humble Italian boat near Toscana with my familia. We love to have you over for dinner to discuss both matters and laugh and drink wine. Awesome. Wouldn't that be a sale? Price. They're alright. 2,500. And then the final one, no new boat. Famous shipwreck. Images/boats/6.jpg. The most famous shipwreck of all. It is the boat of the Flying Dutchman. Is it Dutchman or Dutchman? I think it's one person. It's one person. Price? 1 million. Alright, so now you're gonna see the differences. So the difference between well, boats 1 or boats all. If I now type boats all and I reset the server first of all, you see that I'm getting everything back. However, when I type boats 1 or boats 2 or boats 3 and not boats 4 because then it says it can't, you only see that I get well, that I only get one boat, or at least the information of one boat, right? Let's see, let's make this a little bit more realistic. So let's say I host this on how would I normally do this? Well, let's see. So now we are gonna copy this project and make this a jQuery project Ajax. And this will be interesting. So we're gonna change a couple of things. First of all, the final boats are gonna disappear. First of all. And second of all, let's make a button. And when you click that button, you send an AJAX request to the server, then you get all boats, and then you add all boats to the web page. Means I need to change the JavaScript of custom.js. and it means I need to make a new button, which I will put in its own row. And the button will just say button, it will have an ID, which is get all boats. And it will say get all the boats from the server with a elaborate description. Let's see how it looks like. Saving it. Oh, right. No, this is not Ajax jQuery thing. This is the normal one. So Ajax. Get all the boats from the server. Okay, so when I click this, nothing happens yet, right? Because I have a button, which is nice. But other than the button, I actually need to code some JavaScript in order for the button to trigger. I think this looks nicer. Yeah, 5 boats. You know what? Let's just delete all these boats, or maybe just one. Just there's some eye candy there. So 1 boat. Which is generic boat. Now let's go to JavaScript. So the thing is, we have a button, which is get all boats. We know how to do this, right? We know how to select for jQuery elements. We know that we need to have the on. We know that we need to have a function. Like, this is all standard when it comes to on click. Now, the difference is this button is going to send an AJAX request as follows. And in that AJAX request, you will send the type, which is a get. I will show what happens if you don't do it a get. And let's see what other useful things that the NYSDA slides have on this. URL. So the URL is http://localhost 8000/boats/all. Note, we can only do this. So the AJAX method is not something that jQuery invented. They did make it easier, but this is actually, your browser has the full definition of this. So the people from Microsoft, Google, Mozilla, which made Firefox, and the company behind Opera or Apple, like they made sure that the function definition of AJAX would be in their browser. Let's see, we don't need to send data because it's just a GET request, but we do need to have a success. We know what happens on success. Function. Then you get the response back. Note, you can also call this, Hank or SpongeBob or Ada Lovelace. But response is what it actually is. Yay, the server sent a response. And then we console log the response. So that's our first, check to see if it works. I mean, because if this all works in one go, I think we can be all proud of ourselves that we just got this to work, right? So, opening up the console, if this is relatively big. And is server running? Yes, server is running. Oh, syntax error, unexpected identifier. See. Oh, I didn't put a comma there. Yeah. It's always funny. I'm wondering to what extent you catch my mistakes. Like then, you know, I'm typing and you guys are like, Melvin, you're doing this wrong for like 10 minutes. Anyways, go to console. Refresh it. Really? Okay, so nothing is happening. Oops. Why isn't it? Why is nothing happening? Well, let's see if the click event works. Console log. Clicked. Oh wait, it's a class, right? Made a mistake there. Alrighty. It still doesn't work. Wait, but is anything else working then? Yeah. So the buy now does work. So log. This works. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I'm editing the right file. Let's just put this out then. And it still doesn't work. Why? Oh, because it's an idea. Oops. Okay, that works. Then failed to load. No access control to allow origin. Header is present on the requested resource. Origin null is therefore not allowed to access. So this is the whole course thing that was explained in the slides. Yeah, I basically need to set that open. So let's see what Stack Overflow will say. Let's see. Node set course. Oh, okay, so I need to do this. Okay, cool. So I just need to put in this. So they also do use app, so I need to change that to server, but other than that, it's fine. Let's put that here. Restart the server. Let's do this again. No, did not work. Oh wait, I think I know why. No, this should be up. That's a bit mistake. This needs to be as up as possible from all the server, that get and all that stuff. Like this needs to be the first. Otherwise the other ones trigger earlier. Also just a thing that you know when you know backhand. Yeah, and now you see I do get it back. So what you see I get back is, well, fortunately I don't need to parse it with JSON to parse. I already get it back in JavaScript objects. But basically what you see with Ajax, the server gave me back 3 boat objects. And now the cool thing is, with Ajax you can basically just say, hey, I want these boat objects in this type of HTML and add it to my HTML. So let's do that. So here we have the response, and the response is an array of boats. So we're gonna say var boats is response, and it's an array. Okay, so just this. Well, we can also just call this boats then, I suppose. And then we're gonna make a for loop, because for each boat we need to do the same. So for boats, var boat, we need to add the whole cart. So, well, this is a whole cart. And we need to add everything to that. So, let's see what jQuery will tell us. jQuery add to HTML. You have append, insert content to the end of each element instead of matched elements. DOM insertion. So you have append to .html, prepend to, and .text. Okay. Insert every element. Get the HTML of the first element in the set of match element or the set. Okay. CSS selector last. Is that possible? Yes, it is. Last child. Okay, so let's make this slightly more difficult. Instead of having 1 boat, we have 2 boats, because it will make the jQuery more interesting. So then this is a generic boat, and this is an awesome boat. So what we can do is we can select the boat card, but I only want to select the last boat card. Meanwhile, the background music that you heard was from someone else. Anyway, so when I select boat card, you get them both, right? But if I say last, then I only get the last, so which is exactly what I want in this case. Because if I want to append HTML, then it will be appended below, I think. Oh, it will be appended in it. Interesting. Then I think I should not select that, but I should select the last row. Oh, here, hello, hello. Yeah. So fair enough. Yeah, this works good enough. So we're gonna instead, of course, add a whole cart, but now that we know we need to do this, and we need to insert the HTML in here. So we basically just grab one of these things, and we need to build it and we need to do a lot of stuff to it. So let's keep the syntax on. For example, here you should have the title. So since this is all gonna be a string, as this and this as well, you need to get the boat title here. So you will get boat, and since when you remember the JSON response that we got here, it's just title. So boat.title. Now the images are in images boat 6.jpg. Oh, that should be img. Then I should change that in my server. In this case it's 6, but you know, it can be anything. So wait, what is smarter? I don't want to mess these string things up, so maybe just this. Then you have that. Yeah, this will work out. And then here you have plus boat.image path. And here as well, and here as well. Now let me show you. You see all this syntax, and it should be a string. So with the backslash, you go to the next string. With the backslash, you go to the next string. And then I should not do this, but I should do this to end it here. And if I want to start it again, I should go here, and then with the backslash, you get it again. Yep. And then we are here. Then this. So now that you kind of know the name of the game, what do you think this should be? You can pause the video, think about it, but I can already give you the hint that this is the main part of the text, right, of the boat. So yeah, pause the video, think about it, or not. So this is the JSON response, and we're gonna resume. Anyways, this should first of all obviously be boat, right? So boat and then dot text. If you have that right, you deserve a cookie. Now, when you come in class, don't lie, because I will give you a cookie. So now this is the price. So what do you think this is? Yes, it's boat like price. There we go. Make this an enter. Well, and this is still the same, right? This is all good. Then we end it. Here. We end there. And this is the end of the for loop. Let's see. So this is how you add HTML. Can I do this? Yeah. This is nicer. So what's the difference between this and something like this? When you look at it, when you really look at it, the difference is that instead of having actual stuff, you just have variables. Because those things can change. Or in a formal way of saying it, those things are dynamic. But the rest is the same. So that's how it differs. Well, it would be nice if it works all at once. I presume it won't, but let's try. No, well, let's try. So I'm gonna click on get all boats. Well, we got quite a lot, right? I mean, we didn't get the images yet, but we got everything else. So as you can see, it gets appended in the right way. Let's make sure we get the images. So, oh, source is undefined. Oh wow. Well, I guess there's our problem. Source is undefined. Oh, it was image path name. I remember. Yep. So let's do this again. So we refresh. And there you go. So this is what Ajax does. And the cool thing is, getting this, right, means you don't get a page refresh. Now let's also make a button that gets all the boats one by one, which is probably a bit more involved. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a counter and we're just gonna make it count up. So, and then I would say let's keep it at that. There's much more that you can do with Ajax, but I think, well, as you can see, it's quite late, but also I think what I already showed is quite a lot. But let's create that button though. So this is get all boats from the server. And the next one would be get next boat get the next boat from the server. Alright, so getting the next boat from the server. Amazing. Isn't this amazing, guys? Like, what world are we living in? To me, this just feels like magic. You know, when people sometimes tell me that this world isn't magical, I basically tell them, well, this looks like magic to me. I'm just typing something in a computer and ideas come to life. We couldn't do this a couple of 100 years ago, or, well, 30. Get next boat. What's called get next boat on on click function event. Again, it's a type get. Post would be the other one. That's really common. Get. Here's the URL. Localhost. But the URL is tricky, right? Because it can be boats1, boats1, it can be boats2, it can be boats3. Hint, hint, if you have changing stuff at the same place the whole time, that means you need a variable. So boat number. And then you have the success function. Well, the success function is actually really similar to this one, so much similar that I'm basically going to put this stuff in a function because it's literally this. What I could also do is just copy and paste this, but then you would have like 10 lines of code doing the same thing, and you don't want that, because imagine if you have like 1,000-line code program and like half of it is stuff like that. You don't want that. So function get boat. Sorry, it is append boat. Do we need to do anything here? Yes, we need to have a boat as a parameter because this one is not defined in this function, and then everything else is fine. And we don't need to return anything because we just need to append to HTML, so we can return undefined or just comment it out because in both cases we return undefined. So then I can change this whole thing. I can now change to append both, and I can put boats I, or if I want to be a bit more descriptive, I can say var boat is boats I, boats I, and I can put boat in here. I think, yeah, this should not be here. But I'm gonna do it as follows: boats I. So, see how much easier this is. Okay, so in this case, when I have a success, and I type in a function, I will get one boat, and then I will append that boat. Problem is still here. How are we going to determine the boat number? Oh, I made a couple of mistakes, as always. I basically just forgot to do the whole Ajax call. Wow. That's fine. I mean, if I'm showing you guys one thing, it is the idea that you don't need to be precise as long as you can fix your mistakes relatively quickly. Yeah, so we determine the boat number by having a boat counter. So we just say we just have a global variable called boat number, initialize it to 0. So now the first time this thing is, or initialize it to 1. So the first time boat number is 1. So what do we want to do when we're done? Well, when we're done, we just increment boat number by 1. Boat number plus plus, or boat number plus is 1, or the way I like to do it, boat number equals boat number plus 1. Well, actually I like to do boat number plus plus, but I used to do this for a long time. Now at one point, at one point we'll get too high. Let's see, express send error response. Ah, 500. Rest at status at 500. Let's send. Okay, cool. So let's try this. So instead of in the server having what we have, response at sends, we're going to do response.status.500.send. So if I'm correct, then that won't happen on the client. So that means this only increments when you get a successful response. Well, let's see how far we are. Let's get the next wells from server. Okay. Well, it doesn't work. Okay. How is it wrong? Let's take a good look. Well, let's take stuff out. And let's take this out. Put this here. And put this here. See if it still complains. Yes, it does. And let's take this out. Since the issue wasn't here, I'm really not seeing it. This is one. Put it here, put that here, put that here. Okay. Ah, fascinating. So there was no error there. Then where is it? Oh, it's in the document.ready, right? How did I see that? Well, because this should be here, but there was nothing here, and I know the document.ready starts with this thing and this thing, so they need to be matched. And when you look at this, you see nothing on this line, so it means that's that one. Okay. Unexpected token on 17. Really? No clue how that got wrong, but okay. I is not defined. No. But also, I'm giving already both I, so this is actually wrong. This actually should be both. And there we go. And there we go. There we go. And everything else undefined. So apparently we do get stuff back, so we need to error handle this, right? So the question is, how? Apparently it still triggers, so we can actually console log it. Since it is the response, which is called bug, we just console log it and see what happens. Okay, so what we're going to do is basically say, because apparently it is still, maybe it's because I did not restart the server. If that's the case, then it's not the issue of this program. Yeah, so it says internal server error, but that's fine, right? Because it means the client-side code is correct. So I think there's also failure Ajax. So that responds on when it fails. Done. Oh wow, they're removed. So I need to use done and fail. Ah, okay. So it should not be success. So the slides are outdated. Wow. Fail function response console.log response, and also console.log boat number. Just think it's fun to something went wrong. Here is the boat number. And okay, so this is hopefully more or less the end of the lecture. But do I have jQuery 3? Yes, I do. Yet it doesn't respond anymore. That's odd. I guess I should still use success, and if it doesn't work. Because they do this. Wait, but if they do that, how does this work? Oh, so you have an object, but then you need to chain it. Wow, they really did change it. So if that's the case, then these things need to be chained. They need to be outside of this function, as you could see, actually. See, it's outside of this object. So semicolon should go there because basically you want this, but JavaScript doesn't care about enters, so you can also do this. Put this there. And this to match with this. Oh wait. I did it done. Oh right. Function. Yep. And there it goes. There it goes. And then it says something went wrong. Here's the build number 4. And you see that build number doesn't go up anymore. Then you see here response text, please fill in a number that is higher than 1 to 3. So that's the lecture. This is what Ajax is. Oh, that's a funny bug. So when you do this, that's nice, but you can still get all bots from the servers the whole time, and it will still be added. Oh well. So where's Ajax used a lot? With the Facebook feed. Oh, when you go to Facebook. Oh dear. I did not know. Okay. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, when you go to Facebook and you scroll down, basically you get new content loaded all the time. And yeah, that's basically done with Ajax, because basically instead of having the click, right, they have something, and they don't do on click, but they basically do something else here. I don't know what they do. Maybe, well, they detect if you're scrolling down the page, and if you are, then they do an Ajax request. So this is how to do Ajax. And yeah, basically this, right, the code that you see here is normally done by another programmer. For example, Google, right? And this is done by you. So that means that when you use someone else's API, it means you use their code. And it means that they are writing this for you, right? Or they're writing this for you in whatever language, to make sure that you get JSON back. And then you, when you get the JSON back, you then use that JSON and do stuff with it. Anyways, that was it. When you have questions, you can ask them. And in the class, we'll practice with this a bit more. You can already practice with the Poke API. And just ask yourself that if you make an Ajax request with this by clicking a button, for example, you get this data back. Right? You get this data back, and just ask yourself what you can do with this data and how you can use it. And you don't have to use all this data, obviously. You just have to use like 1 or 2 little things. So that's an exercise you can already do. You already have seen how to use buttons and how to do an Ajax request. All you need to ask yourself is, well, when you do an Ajax request, you console log it, and when you console log it, then you need to ask yourself how to get a specific thing. If you find other APIs, you can use it too. You don't need to use the Poke API. Alright guys, that was it. Have fun for the rest of the weekend. Cheers.